Alright, this is going to be weird. Hi everybody, my name is AustiBoss, and this is going to be a little different. Yeah, some people are probably asking why the hell is a Let's Player that plays video games recording himself in his very small garage with car parts everywhere and standing in front of coveralls. Well, for one, let me get you started on that. It's snowing outside, it's freezing cold outside. I do this outside where it's a lot more lit, but this is what I got. And two, I just wanted to show everybody what it is that I'm usually busy with besides editing videos. Like, I'm constantly working on cars. My own, because they always break down, there's always something wrong with them, and I enjoy the hell out of it. I don't enjoy the stress of working on vehicles when me and my now wife, which is another thing I'll talk about here in a second, are always dependent on to go back and forth from work. But I just got a new truck a couple months back. It's a newer vehicle. It's a 2014 Chevy Silverado 1500 LTZ, so it's a full leather interior, full get up and go. Another thing is the audio might be crap. I don't have a external mic, despite what these might be doing or what they look like. They're just straight up headphones so I can listen to music while I work. And it's got, when I got it, it had 93,000 miles on it. The only thing that was wrong with it was the brakes were at half-life, which I still haven't changed them out yet. I probably will soon. And she needed just a little bit of TLC, just new spark plugs, some new oil, because the oil had been changed 2-3 times, and then the spark plugs were still OEM. They're still original from the factory. So I did a full overhaul on the truck. I replaced all the fluids, all the filters, tranny fluid, tranny filter, oil filter, all spark plugs, radiator fluid, coolant, everything. Antifreeze, I went through it all, drained it all, replaced everything. And one thing that I'm going to go ahead and say now, before I do this, is I'm not a licensed mechanic. I do this on the side by myself. I enjoy the hell out of this. If I make mistakes, that is okay, but don't be a dick. Don't tell me about the 23,000 things I'm probably doing wrong, or telling me that I need to spray the entire vehicle with acetone and alcohol and disinfect my gasket covers. Don't be that guy. Don't be a dick. I'm going to do this, and honestly, at the end of the day, it's going to be my problem when I screw something up or not, or try and blow out my engine. So it's going to be my problem, not yours. Don't be a dick in the comments. But if you got some useful information, hell, I am all about vehicles, and I love learning new things. And this is her 2002 Nissan Altima. It is the SE version, so it's got the 3.5 liter V6. It's not too bad. I got it for free from my uncle, which I appreciate dearly. She's been sitting in the desert of Texas for a couple years. We've owned it for about 1.5 years now, and she's had her fair share of problems, but I've fixed all of them on the side. A lot of the rubber components of this thing are completely dry rotted, so I'll get into the full issue with this and why I'm actually recording this video, but long story short, pretty much every gasket and rubber piece, I've been replacing one piece at a time because everything's dry rotted. Everything's nasty, disgusting. Even when I ripped this full plastic cover for the windshield wipers and all that stuff, which I was obviously turned the camera and showed a little closer and a little better. Later, you still haven't even seen the engine, but I'll show you in a second. Once I ripped all that stuff off, there's so much rubber and sealant and crap that's all completely deteriorated. So I'm going to make this as dependable as I can for as long as I can. I would love to get her a new vehicle, and she would love a new vehicle as soon as we can get to it. But right now, this is just a budget build. Or not really a budget build, more like a budget fix. But this will actually not take me too long, as heavy of a task as it is, and I do have time because most of the time when I fix these vehicles, it's an emergency. I have to fix it by tomorrow, so I don't have time to do these. And a lot of the YouTubers and stuff that I watch that record these videos, they have nothing but time, and I've seen behind the scenes where it takes forever just to record taking spark plugs out. So I've got time to spare, and you know what, I want to mix it up. These are kind of the things that I really want to record and do, because these are fun to me, and it takes a lot of time out of my YouTube thing, so I figured why not do both. This is a hobby for me. And my neighbor's here. Alright, so I'm going to get a little closer to the camera because I'm sure the mic audio is probably not that good, and most of you probably couldn't hear me anyway, so I'm just going to get close to the camera now. I'm still here. Hello, hello. It's super dark, but in real life it's actually not that bad. Yeah, so the issue that I'm having, that I know what the issue is, I just haven't fixed it yet, and as you can see, I've taken all these plastic plates off. I've taken the mounts for the wiper blades off. I don't know how much of this you can actually see. I'm hoping quite a bit. Taking both of these, take the plastic plate off. Obviously, I took the hood off as well. I've removed the battery because I was dealing with a fuel issue component, and I made sure to take that off to make sure there's no fires. I am really, really stupid, and I do not have a fire extinguisher, so yeah, I'm stupid. I need to go get one, but I don't have one currently. But I've taken the entire top half of the engine off. I took the intake plenum off and the throttle body with the motor and everything. I've removed the injectors and the fuel rails straight from the intake manifold. This right here is just one of the gaskets in the main intake into here. By the way, I don't know all the terminology. I'm just going to say what I do, so if I say something wrong, pardon me. I kind of know what I'm talking about. I just say it differently. So I apologize if I say something wrong or point at something wrong and say it differently, but I kind of know what I'm talking about. But the issue she was having is she was driving down the road, going to pick up my marriage stuff, actually, both of our marriage things, my vest rental and all that stuff for our wedding, and it just died on her while driving. And she said that when it was dying, it was kind of spitting and sputtering. The RPMs were jumping between 1 and 4,000, and it just died. And she pulled over. And I thought that, and she said that it was sitting with low gas for a couple days, and then she just filled it up to full with gas. So I assumed it could be either a failing fuel pump or a clogged fuel filter. And when I researched this later, I actually found out the fuel filter is attached to the fuel pump assembly. So in other words, I had to replace the entire fuel pump, which is why I was dicking with the fuel accessories. Anyways, the cool thing with Nissans, and I'm actually going to take the camera off here and show you guys this. Oh, sorry if I'm shaky hands, I'm not a vlogger. When you get in here, I have my trusty flashlight. The easiest thing that you can do, and I'm going to go ahead and say this for everybody that is looking for Nissan stuff, the fuel pump is in the back seat. I don't know if this is for the 2 5-liter 4-cylinder Nissans as well of the same year, or all 3 5s, and I'm fairly certain. I remember pulling it back here. You will see glass. When it sat in the Texas desert, the windshield busted out, so my dad and them were graciously enough to pay for a new rear windshield. So there's still glass, and we've been vacuuming this thing out for like a year and a half, but the guys that did it didn't do a good job, and so there's glass everywhere still, which I still like to vacuum. So of course, I assume it could be a failing fuel pump, so all you do, which I've already done it, but I'll say it for people that are looking up those YouTube videos and stuff, there's little screws right here, if it will focus. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Focus. Okay, I don't know how to work this camera, it's not focusing, but either way, there's small little tabs, and then all you gotta do is simply grab it. You grab these pieces with a pair of alignments or something, and then you twist them counterclockwise about 90 degrees on all 4 of these, and this whole little plastic piece will pop up, and then right there you'll get your fuel line and your connector, which is what this little grommet is right here that feeds the wire. So I checked that. Actually found out the fuel pump has a crack at the top end, so it's spitting fuel down the top, but it doesn't leak enough for me to notice a fuel leak. And then of course I assumed maybe all the glass cut the wires, but I checked the wires all the way down to here into the plastic cover case that's right here, and it's all completely fine. So I put a new fuel pump in anyways, dealt with that issue. Oh god, I'm about to break something. And then after replacing the fuel pump, I replaced the fuel pump, cleaned everything out. When I did check inside of the fuel tank, there is kind of sediment in there. It wasn't a lot, so I don't think enough to really clog the fuel pump or the fuel lines. So just in case, let me put you back here. I basically disconnected whatever this thing is. I actually have no clue what the hell this is, but it connects to the fuel rail. And so this is actually the fuel line that comes from the rubber to metal across. I jacked up the rear end of the vehicle, looked at the metal lines all the way down to this front end. They're all completely fine. And I depressurized the lines, obviously did all that stuff, pulled the fuse for the fuel pump, primed it a couple times, and then ran it till it died. And because that's the thing, is when she pulled over, she was actually able to start it a couple times, and that's what made me think it was either a failing fuel pump or a clogged line, because it started and would idle sometimes fine, and then it would drive for a few minutes and then spit, sputter, then die again. So I was almost fairly certain it was a fuel issue. But anyways, I disconnected the lines, checked all the lines all the way up to the front. It was perfectly fine, so I decided to hook up my air compressor and blow air through the lines and get anything that could potentially clog the lines or anything all the way out. Nothing came out. So yeah, there was no water in the lines, nothing freezing, there was no debris clogging the lines. So I got into the fuel injectors and took the intake plenum off and checked all that last night, and they've been sitting. I sprayed some cleaner inside them. I'm going to get the air compressor today, spray those out, make sure everything's good into the injectors. The injectors look like absolute garbage. Yeah, so I'm going to try and put those compressor or air fuel injectors back in, which is probably a super bad idea because I don't think this thing has autofocus. Oh god. These guys look like poo-poo. They're completely disgusting on both ends. It's literally missing some of the rubber, but it still technically fires and still spits it. I have not tested it, but I don't have enough money to pay for new fuel injectors. So we're just going to stick with what the hell these guys are and then hope it runs long enough for another week so I can get paid and put a new one in. The injectors are garbage. The fuel rail is disgusting inside. As you can see, I have been spraying cleaner, and crap is actually coming out. I mean, some of this is from the fuel pump and all that other stuff as well, so that's not all coming out of the fuel rail, but there is some coming out. So this whole engine pretty much needs kind of a rebuild or a full overhaul, but I don't have time to do that, so I'm going to get what I can to work. But at the end of last night, if you look inside these fuel injector holes, there is dirt and disgusting crap in there. Actually, some of the O-rings for the fuel injectors are stuck in here, so I'm going to have to try and pry those out without ripping too much of the gaskets. Like I said, this thing is really rough, but I'm going to try and get as much done as I can. But onwards to what the process is up, catching you up to where I'm at right now. Checked all the fuel system and everything. I just need to blow out the fuel rail, make sure nothing's clogging that. The injectors are garbo. I'm going to, at the end of all this, put all that back together, and and now I know that the fuel system 100% is sound all the way up to the fuel rail and into the injector ports. So that's good. And then at the end of last night, I was thinking that it could potentially be spark as well while it died, because I was thinking it was fuel, and then I've cleaned everything out with the fuel, but last night I actually figured out what the main problem is. Let me focus this, because I'm sorry. Is that focus? I really can't tell. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. So, yeah, so I decided to pull the ignition coil. Here. Actually, let me see if I can't get a little closer and actually get some light so maybe someone can see something. Actually, here, I have my portable light right here. What am I doing, silly Willy? Wow, that is severely out of focus. Cool. Alright, well, this is a huge camera and my battery's about to die. Awesome. So we're going to focus this. Yeah, so I pulled that ignition coil out and checked the spark plugs, and in the spark plug well, there is oil everywhere. I'm talking the spark plug was soaked from top end, from porcelain, down through the threads, and into the actual spark head. And literally, if you look right here before my camera dies, you can actually see a sort of water marker from the oil and see all that carbon buildup and composite into the tip. So long story short, I have a leaking valve cover gasket, and I'm going to have to replace that today, right along with all brand new spark plugs, because I only pulled one, and all of them are completely disgusting. Well, I just pulled one, and that one was awful. So yeah. Alright, let's try this to see how well this works. Yeah, so I'm back. I had to go pick up my wife from work. So I'm going to go ahead and start undoing these injectors, or ignition coils, pop those guys out, pop the spark plugs, start unbolting the valve cover, and yeah, start getting busy working on this side. So I'll be back. Well, this is a little unfortunate, but so it seems that when I pulled this ignition coil out, it separated from the boot. When I pulled it out, it separated from the boot, and then upon closer examination, the whole thing snapped straight out. So that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna need a new ignition coil boot. That's pretty neat, I guess. Not really, that sucks. But yeah, so damn it. I pulled the other heads off, or at least the other spark plugs off. They're not any better. Let me try to get the manual focus on here. Yeah, with the light you can't really see really well, but they're not any better. Same thing. There's a water line basically where all the oil and stuff is. And yeah, one of the boots broke off and everything, so that's great. So I need a whole new ignition coil boot. I looked down on the cylinder heads. Cylinder heads are disgusting as well. They have residue on top as well, so the engine block is, or at least the heads are probably not any better. So it's wonderful news. I'm going to try and get as much done as I can. I'm going to try and get this hopefully back together the best that I can as well, without breaking much more crap, because the electrical wire harness is all cracking every time I move something. I'm sure I'm breaking most of the jackets and probably starting to arc and ground fault things, so it's gonna be great. I have to pull his head off still. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna do that because all these wires are in the way, but yeah, I'm gonna start cracking loose and see if I can't wiggle this thing out of here just to get that goop out again and put it back together, and then get everything back together that I can without having to replace everything. And yeah, I might put the good injectors in the back because some of the injectors, fuel injectors, are cracked and bad O-rings and stuff. I'm going to see if I can't put the good ones in the back. So that way if I can get this thing running, then I can fix the ones that are accessible, because with that intake manifold coming across here, it's blocking pretty much access to all this stuff. So if I can put my best stuff in this back end first, then that'll be good. So then I can put this engine together at least most of the way. Alright, welcome back. The camera battery is not fully done charging yet. I mean, I don't even know if it's like halfway, so I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, we're only about halfway. So I'm going to flip this real quick. Yeah, so I've got the head off, or the valve cover off and everything. Looking at it, let me get my flashlight. Looking at it,
it's disgusting. So that's good. That's great. The main leak is about right here. If you look at that over there, it's kind of smashed down, and like I said, most of this crap is kind of bad. One of the things I didn't notice is that my circuit, because I do have a scanner. It's not like a mechanical or like a full mechanics, full diagnostics checker, but it's a little blue driver right over there that I scan things for. Originally, like I said, I replaced these CPSs, these camshaft position sensors, like this guy right here. I had a code for the specific sensor going out and the circuit. I didn't know those were two different things. I figured once I put a new sensor in there, it would clear the circuit as well. I didn't, and it didn't, and I figured out why. If you zoom in right there, you'll see that there's cracks all across the wire and possibly arcing, so that's probably why that's throwing codes, which is great because, again, this entire wire harness is like this. Every time you move it, it's like you're stepping on a bag of chips, and they're cracking 1,000 times, so that's great. But yeah, look at this. It's disgusting. It doesn't, I mean, everything seems like it's getting oil and everything, but it's completely disgusting, and I'm not going to waste the time to clean all this because, honestly, I just want to get this running as much as possible, and I'm only excited for this other guy, but while pulling off that, I was looking at the seal, and the seal is not the best, but it's not terrible like I thought. And then if you look over here, well, that's great. If anybody knows anything about vehicles, you will know that vehicles do not, in fact, run off of banana pudding. Yeah, I have coolant in my valve covers. And not just a little, like a lot. Like a lot, like a lot. So, that's great. And for some of you saying, oh, well, hey, Austin, stupid, aren't you supposed to just, pop the oil cap off and see if there's any water? Yes, indeed I have. Many a times. And I've cleaned it many a times and brought it to a mechanic and told them that, hey, I don't think this is right. What's going on? They said that with these vehicles, as temperamental as they are, and as cold as it is outside, that a little bit of condensation at the top isn't that bad. So let's go ahead and take a look at the top versus what's in the valve cover gasket. So I'm going to go ahead and... Oh! Don't worry about that. That's fine. Ow. And this is the other side that I'm assuming is only great. Yeah. Every single time I clean this, and I can't figure out where the hell the damn leak is. But I'm getting coolant in my oil, so that's not good at all. And I think it may have gotten worse, or it's been this bad. I don't know. I've never popped these heads off. So, yeah. Luckily, it's not on the camshaft. It's not on the lobes. It's not passing down into the valves. It's simply at the top end most of the engine. So I'm thinking maybe when it sat for a couple years in the desert, that hot humidity probably boiled away some of the crap that's in there, and then it sat at the top, and since I brought it up to the north, now it's freezing and getting cold and condensating at the top end and coagulating. So now I have a crap load of coolant or water or condensation in my heads. So I'm going to clean that valve cover, clean as much as possible, scrape it, scrape this crap that's on the head. It's actually not that bad if I flip it. It's actually not that bad. I just got to scrape this extra residue. Those bits are not actual fluid, it's just ridges. Oh wait, this one's stupid. Those are actually just metal ridges on all these. That's not like fluid or anything. So those are metal ridges, but it's nice, nasty, dirty, and disgusting. But luckily, I searched everywhere. I don't see any coolant at the top, so I think it's just what's been sitting. So I'm going to take that moment to clean all of this out. And actually, if you check the dipstick, it's actually not that bad. There's not like a lot of coolant in there. It's actually, I mean, it's dirty oil because I haven't changed it in a while. Because it leaked oil before, so I just kept filling it with oil. And, I mean, it pretty much cycles the oil out itself. The only thing you would have to really do is change the oil filter. But I just changed those CPS sensors a couple weeks ago, so that's still new that I was hoping to stop the oil leak and then do a full oil change, because this thing needs an oil change, and my truck out there needs an oil change as well. So I was going to do them all one day, which I'm still going to do. Hopefully if this thing ever runs again. I've never dove into it this much, and it's ran for damn near a year. So I'm assuming this freaking Nissan could run off of banana pudding and water as fuel. So yeah, that's wonderful. Makes me want to dip my fries in it. Looks like the damn fry sauce. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to go and clean this as much as I can. Alright. I'm probably not even frame. Hi everybody, my name is AustiBoss, and welcome back to, not part 2, but the thing that's not recorded on my phone. So the quality's a little worse. Not really worse, but it's darker, so you can't see quite as much. And I don't have a wide-angled lens, so you can't see everything, including me. But, long story short, from what you saw from the phone, there's banana pudding in my head gasket, which is not good. I went through and I spent a long time cleaning that out, getting it about as clean as I possibly can. I didn't get everything, but I got as much as I possibly could. I had to scrape a lot of the head and inside the head cover gaskets because there's so much crap in there, and a lot of the gasket actually didn't come out at all, and the gasket was dry rotted to hell. So as you can see, head's back on. I torqued it all to specs, did the full pattern and everything, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is how it was listed on there. I'll repeat that for this side whenever I get to that. Yeah, so right now I'm popping the spark plugs out. I just cracked all those. So I'm going to crack those, get those guys out, take a look at them. Like I said, the ignition coils over there actually weren't that bad relative to this first guy over here. And I don't know the cylinder layout, and I don't know the firing order. But I'm assuming it's either going to be maybe 1, which would suck if my first cylinder is covered in oil, because that would definitely throw the engine off quite a bit. But, yeah, I cleaned everything as much as I could. I didn't get everything. It was definitely a lot better than it was before. I'm going to take these spark plugs out, do a spark plug job, put the ignition coils back in, start cleaning up this back side over here, and then rip the wire harness and all this crap out of this side, throw it over there. Repeat on this one, which is going to be way easier, because the problem is I'm reaching all the way back here like this. I'm trying to dry hump the car. So, yeah. Close this up. That's already torqued down everything. I think the gasket held on pretty well. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. And, yeah, push that in, finish that up and everything, and then I'm going to get started over here. So, well, I don't know how much of that got lost, but whatever. Anyways, I'm going to keep going. I already got the ignition coils on. Tightening those now. Yeah. So ignition coils are on, everything's plugged up and everything. Just got to run a couple hoses, and then I should be able to undo this side, flip it over the other, and then call it good. So yeah. All right. It's been a bit. It's like about 6 o'clock now. I tried recording a couple videos and stuff on the camera, but the camera's not working out for me. So, long story short, I'm going to flip the camera. I got some stuff done. Throttle body's back on. This right-hand side ignition coil, spark plugs, and everything have been changed. All good to go. I went in here underneath all this stuff, all these towels and everything, and vacuumed out those fuel injector holes, ports, and sucked out all the way down to the valve stuff because the engine was so disgusting. When I was trying to pull the injectors out, the plastic caps on the fuel injectors broke off. As you can see, these guys have that little red piece on top, and then all 3 of these don't. I did that on purpose, even though these were kind of scattered about. I put all the ones that are still operable and still in decent enough condition to not break apart and shatter on the backhand side, while the front hand side, they've got the O-rings, but they don't have those caps. So I think they'll still work. I did take the air compressor, blow out the fuel rail, freaking sprayed completely fine, so obviously no fuel issues, but I figured since I had it, might as well. The ignition coil that's missing the bottom part that broke off, this bad boy, I went ahead and stuck the actual ignition coil cap on there just to make sure nothing else falls into those damn holes, because I was an idiot and I didn't vacuum any of the engine bay and crap kept falling in. So luckily I was able to suck it out all the way from the valves. because I'm a big dum-dum. But, yeah, so throttle bodies on there, besides the intake plenum over there. So tomorrow, I'm going to go to my local U-Pull-It, grab one ignition coil, boot, because the ignition coil cap is still pretty good, I think. Let's grab a new boot, and possibly 3 new injectors, since those caps are bad. Grab those. I am also missing the fuel rail grommets, because there's like rubber pieces that sit on here. I've been searching the engine bay. I can't find them. I only had 2, and I can't find them nowhere. So I'm going to go grab 4 just to make sure I have one for all, including my 2 extras. So yeah, I'm going to go grab a bunch of grommets from that, and then I did break this mount right here for the air intake box. This guy right here, when I pulled it, I broke, which one are you right there? There's supposed to be a piece that sticks out like that one right there. Yeah, I broke that one. So I'm going to go grab an... Oh, here it is, actually. This bad boy. Snapped her right off. Because that's got a good damn hold. But anyways, get a new one of those air boxes, 3 new injectors, and a new ignition coil boot. And then she hopefully should be good enough to go. I'm hoping and praying. Everything that I've built up to here, I've resealed. I just have a couple hoses and vacuum returns. And then I should be able to start throwing the hood and all the cover plastic and stuff for this back on. And then, yeah, hopefully be able to wrap this up. I'm really hoping and praying this thing turns over and runs fine. I'm hoping that there's not like a chip in the head or something that's throwing oil past the spark plugs. Because that would be the end of this engine. And the end of me working on it. But thank you everybody for watching, and tomorrow I might try and record videos probably on this phone, because the camera doesn't work really well, and as you can tell, it's very cold in here. I turned the heater off even though it wasn't really much of anything, and tomorrow we're supposed to have a blizzard. Yay. So I'm probably going to be outside at a U-Pull-It junkyard pulling injectors in the middle of a blizzard, so it'll be fun. I might try and record it, I don't know. Honestly, I may just be too busy freezing. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye! Pointing at the engine. Well, a little farther back.